What are inner resources and what is mindful living? Seemingly simple questions, but not that easy to answer. We certainly know a lot about external resources, and external resources that we can purchase, we're totally and very frequently reminded about. So, joining a gym as a New Year's resolution, a miracle juicer in an infomercial for wonderful vitamins that you can purchase, wearables that'll tell you how many paces you've walked in a day to help you figure out something about maybe diet and exercise. And online memory training that allows you to improve your short-term memory. So these are important ways of signaling resources, but what do we mean by inner resources? Are these things that can be purchased? Are these things that instead we can uncover that are already inside ourselves? And if you've worked in this area, if you've worked with mindfulness, if you practice mindfulness, if you teach mindfulness, you'll know that an important credo is that we learn through doing. That we allow questions and things that are not entirely clear to sort of cycle through the practice. And that's what I'd like us to do in the time that we have this evening, to allow these two questions to cycle through the lenses of practice and see what we discover through this form of inquiry. So the first thing that I'd like us to do is to do a group exercise where I'm going to put a phrase up on the screen, and then I'm going to ask you a question about it. Now, for those of you who are mindfulness-based cognitive therapy aficionados, you'll recognize this from session 6 of the protocol. And so the question is, who is John? And so John was on his way to school. That's the information that we have at hand. And so just shout out, who is John? John's a kid. John's a child. John's a university. John's a speaker. Schoolboy, teacher. Great. Now he was worried about his math lesson. Who is John? Student, teacher. Not good in math. So John is a worrier. Maybe John's a parent. John was not sure he can control the class again today. So now, who is John? John's a teacher. Any other possibilities? Maybe a student. It was not part of a caretaker's duty. So who is John now? John's a caretaker. So did you notice the mental models that you created? And did you notice the mental models that just kept updating themselves as more information was provided? And this is something that the mind does very easily. In fact, we have to kind of play these sorts of tricks on the mind in order to get ourselves to see how easily this commentary is generated. And then these kinds of stories sometimes occur and we're even barely conscious of them. And yet they can lead us to form powerful inferences, and sometimes those inferences can lead to emotions based on how we interpret and understand a situation. Now, with all of that said, I would still say that this ability is a powerful inner resource, that we have minds that are capable of detecting patterns, of detecting threats, and reducing discrepancies. This provides us with an internal resource that we can draw on to help navigate our way through the world. And from a survival perspective, it's been incredibly valuable for us as a species, and it's allowed us to adapt and evolve in a number of different environments. So this is an important inner resource. Here's another important inner resource. And it is an effort to try to know information through a different sort of lens. It's a 3-minute breathing space, and I'd like us all to try it as a way to feel it and to see what it may convey to you. And so to begin, and some of you have already done this, to maybe shift in your seat in such a way that you can feel yourself sitting. You may feel your feet pressing down into the floor. You may feel the chair supporting the weight of your body. And maybe just seeing whether the spine and the neck and head are in alignment, and just taking a moment to settling in. If you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and close your eyes. And so in the first step of the 3-minute breathing space, perhaps asking yourself, what is my experience right now? What thoughts are here? What emotions are present? What bodily sensations are making themselves known? And as best you can, just allowing all of that to be in the mind without needing to change or alter it in any way. Just observing it as best you can. And now, if you're willing, shifting your attention to a single pointed focus on the breath at the belly. And allowing yourself to feel the sensations of breathing in, the rising, the uplift, and the sensations of breathing out, the falling, the lowering. Just giving the mind this one thing to do, feeling the sensations of the in-breath, feeling the sensations of the out-breath from one moment to the next moment to the next moment. And now, if you're willing, seeing if you can expand your awareness around the belly to allow your attention to radiate outwards into the whole body. So sitting with the whole body, breathing with the whole body, from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, and seeing whether you can move your attention even further outwards towards the skin and the air that surrounds it, towards the space between you and the person sitting next to you, or even into the hall itself, holding all of this as best you can in a wider and more spacious awareness. And then when you're ready, just allowing your eyes to open, bringing your attention back into the room. So this is a different way of knowing our experience. It may be a little bit more effortful for us to access this mode. It may be a little bit more effortful than recognizing patterns or generating stories, but it's very trainable. Mindfulness meditation, other contemplative practices develop a very reliable bridge to move between these modes, and it allows us to have a different relationship to the mental chatter that is ongoing in our minds. And to help draw this out a little bit more, we've named these doing mode and being mode. And these are some of their characteristics. So when we were trying to figure out who is John, there was an effort to reduce discrepancies between what we know and what we don't know by generating an answer. There was an effort to problem solve, to kind of throw yourself into this task. There was a story that was updated that we were creating. And we may have been drawing on information from the past and on the present to try to sort this out. In the 3-minute breathing space, there was an impact on sensory modalities that was heightened. Feeling the breath, feeling sensations, feeling the feet, expanding with our attention. Very little verbal activity that was selected or chosen for further analysis. Loose connections were tolerated. You may have noticed this, you may have noticed that. There wasn't any request that anything be done to connect the dots. And it was very present focused. So both of these modes are available to us, and both of them represent very valuable inner resources that we can cultivate and that we can develop through practice. The other part of the story that's really important is that our brains have the capacity to support processing through these two different lenses, so that we have a choice regarding what type of filter we want to bring to bear on what's happening to us. This is a wonderful study that Norman Farb and his colleagues conducted, where the same adjectives provided to participants were viewed through an invitation to think about them as stories, what they mean about self, how they are maybe tied to other views or attributes of the self. And that's what he called narrative focus, which maps roughly onto doing mode. And the same adjective viewed through this other lens of just notice what comes up in your experience as you see this word, in your body as you see this word, in terms of sensory information as you see this word. And the brain, obligingly, provided different regions that were more active depending on which of these two different foci were used to come at the same information. And this is, I think, a very compelling way of understanding that there are different ways that we can have relationships with the same information, and that gives us more choice. And so why is choice important? Because as Sharon Salzberg reminds us, once we see clearly what's going on in the moment, we can choose how to act on what we're seeing. Ultimately, our actions can be infused to a greater degree with our intentions. And our intentions can set the framework for our action, because our actions really create our footprint in the world. And this is the starting point for truly mindful living. Thank you very much.